being here today, because let me tell you, it's late there, and we're going to try to somehow do these shows where we can get our Ghana partners on a little earlier. But we are so excited to have someone from Ghana with us today. I want to introduce our guest and Professor Pashington Obing. You know, I have to say Washington and Pashington. You being with us today, who is one of the founders of the Pan African Museum, and they just did. Well, I'll let him tell you a little about himself and what just happened in Ghana yesterday. And Professor Obing, I want to thank you so very much for being here today, and thank you for coming on at such a late hour. It is late there, I know, and we probably woke you up. But could you tell us a little about yourself? And please tell us a little bit more about the museum and how that museum ties in to the diaspora.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Butler Yeboah. My name is Pashington Obing, as you have heard, and the Pan-African Heritage World Museum, which is going to be built at Pomadzi between Accra and Cape Coast, will be sited near Winneba. This museum is going to host a palace of kingdoms, a place for herbal medicine, a setting for cuisines from continental Africa and Africa of the diaspora, a library, archives, as well as chalets. The chalets will be places where people can stay when they visit the museum. In addition, workshops will be held at the site. But before the museum is constructed, we're going to hold a conference which starts on the 5th of August, ending the 7th of August of this year. That conference has a title which is Bridging the Gap Amongst Africans and Descendants of Africans at the global level through entrepreneurship, scholarship, culture, spirituality, and innovation. I have spoken elsewhere before, and I have likened what we are doing to the proverbial statement, which is tasty soup draws people to itself. What do I mean? The uniqueness of what we are about and the talent pool being drawn to put this conference on have helped us to create a hybrid conference. The physical location would be at the Association of African Universities, also acronym as AAU, which is at East Legon in Accra. The organizing principle, as I mentioned earlier, is for the conference people to find ways of uniting, of re-engaging Afro descendants and continental Africans. Further, we are going to pay attention to restitution. And one of the reasons this is important for us is that we are living in an era when it is no longer the asymmetric power relations between Africans and the non-Africans who plundered the continent and destroyed parts of culture, now we are able to speak using our own voice. And as Jean-Marie Teno of Cameroon says, Africa has been fleeced over the years. And so this is the time for us to speak to the issue of restitution. It's not just a conversation, but also for us to put in place structures that will enable us to repossess that which had been dispossessed. Further, the conference would pay attention to creativity, innovation, and the youth. Why? Because we acknowledge that a great deal of what we have today is the result of what our forebears, the ancestors, have passed on to us. And we have the responsibility as well as accountability to pass what has been given us to the youth. This is why we have the session that will embrace young people who will be active participants in the conference to speak about the critical roles and the transformative innovation and creativity that they will unleash on both continental Africa and Africa of the diaspora. As we do this and think through what we are doing, we want to acknowledge that human experiences and expressions should be grounded in our culture, our tradition, and spirituality. For that reason, the conference will also devote a session to African spirituality, culture, and tradition. This conference would have sandwiched amongst the discussions the breaks that will feature cultural activities from 12 countries, 12 Africanist countries. So countries in continental Africa, as well as others outside of Africa, including Brazil, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica. Such cultural performances will provide a platform for the world to be exposed to and to be educated on the various vibrant artifacts, cultural shows, music, dance that we are assembling. Further, the participants will have the opportunity to experience some of the innovations through Bitcoin. And then, since we are paying attention to what the young people are doing, our hope is that they will share with us some of the innovative ideas that belong to what others have recently called futuristic Afro diaspora events. Now,
well, let me ask a question. Professor Obi, I want to interrupt you really quickly because I want to ask some questions.
Please do.
You said diaspora, right? So can you tell us what actually is the definition of diaspora, and how important is this museum going to be to the diaspora, and some of the things that how what because let me tell you about the audience. We have audience from all over the world here today, and we have a lot of individuals who are looking to come to Ghana and to the motherland. What does what does this museum, first of all, what is a diasporan and what does this Pan-African Museum, what is it really going to bring to us? And why should we in the diaspora, which you're talking to a lot of diasporans, what's the importance of it to us?
Thank you. Thank you. At one level, diaspora simply means dispersion or dispersal. At another level, it refers to the planting of seeds in various parts of the world. We are combining both notions so that when we talk about African diaspora, we're referring to the various communities of Africans that have been planted as seeds in different societies around the world. So a museum and the activities that would occur there are aimed at bringing those that have been planted around the world literally to Ghana to observe, to learn, to grow, to be transformed by what they will experience. Then, in addition to what those in Ghana would experience, we will also have a virtual digital museum that will enable us to project what is happening in Ghana to different parts of the world so that others will benefit from the experience. Those that will come to the museum, when it's put in place, will have the opportunity to visit herbal plant sections, Kingdom of Palaces, the archives, artifacts, library facilities, and as I mentioned, entertainment sessions, as well as places where they can spend nights or weekends. We will also hold workshops that will feature drumming, dancing, smithing, so basket weaving, all those cultural or indigenous cultural practices and crafts that not many people remember these days will be featured on the grounds of the museum. So the museum is a physical as well as virtual site for people of Africa, the continent, and dispersed and seeded Africans in different parts of the world.
So thank you for that. But let me ask a question. I want to ask now, yesterday there was a big event. So tell us a little about yesterday and what are some of some of the pillars. Now, I'm not sure for all of our audience out there, those of us who want to come back and really be part of the fiber of the country. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the president's initiatives might be for us and how this all ties in?
Okay. So on Wednesday, the 5th of May, the president of Ghana presided at the sword cutting to begin work at the museum. The president did intimate that this is a structure, a monument that represents a movement like none other in the world. Why? Because he had visited many places seen museums of all kinds, but what is being envisaged at Kumasi in Ghana doesn't have any parallel. Why? Because, as I have indicated earlier, it is not just a place where you walk through the walls or the corridors and have your feel, but that you are given the opportunity to experience interactive nature of learning. And after entering the physical space within the enclosed area, those at the site will have the opportunity to step outside and walk the grounds where they will see trees that contain medicine or herbal medicine. Why is this important? The president on Wednesday did remind all of us that at the time that indigenous medicine is often referred to as alternative cure or medicine, although most of the medicines in the biomedical world are based on herbs that have been extracted from different parts of tropical world, such medicines should no longer be considered as alternative. Further, we have heard of kingdoms, Mansa Musa's role, the Ghana Kingdom, the Songhai Empire, the Benin Empire, and so on. But not many people know how to have representations of such kingdoms. And so that site in Ghana will have emblems, images, as well as pictures and films about such kingdoms. Not only that, there will be a session that is devoted to heroines and heroes of Africa, those that have shaped not only continental Africa, but the world. In addition, there will be opportunities for people to interact with Ghanaians that are involved in some of the local crafts. As I indicated, there will be basket weavers, there will be blacksmiths, there will be dancers, there will be other musicians that will teach Ghanaians about Ghanaian songs and Ghanaian dance gestures and the proverbs or pithy sayings that are being captured in such gestures.
I'd like to
So
ask.
thank you for that. Invisible Man, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I was trying to get a question in. You go ahead first.
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna just question as far as the seven pillars that the president is trying to bring to the forefront and welcome, and I'm hoping to welcome us. Do you know a little bit about the seven pillars? Are the pillars of the country, what they're doing, and how everything ties in together?
Well, I'm sure that as those who came, was it 2019 or 2018, right?
Yes, 2019. We were all
Okay,
there.
okay, 2019. All of you were furnished with what Ghana intends doing for the world of the diaspora. This is the irony. When it happened, I, the speaker, wasn't present in Ghana. I am new here, so I wasn't here to be part of it. But what I know is that all those facets of the Ghanaian life and the continent as a whole, especially those that were considered to have been spread all over the world, have to be harnessed. So, Dr. Butler Yeboah, I would defer to you to refresh my memory about the 7, and then I can comment on them.
Well, I just want to. I don't know all 7. I'm just excited that they're. I'm looking forward to hearing about all 7. And our Honorable Bibio, who's part of the President Diaspora, he's going to come and talk all about that. Hopefully, very soon. But one of the things that I want to know is like Beyond the Return is. I'm excited about the Beyond Return and how they're have this new initiative for 2020 to 2030. And I know that I'm excited that the museum is coming because I don't know if there's really any cultural museums that are Pan-African as on the continent or anywhere in the world that are Pan-African museums, first of its kind. Am I correct?
Correct. This is a first. It's a first because you remember I was identifying various Africans and Afro descendants that have their story to share. So, can you imagine Africans from Colombia, Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, Pakistan, India, Indonesia, all these Africans that not many people know exist or inhabit different parts of the world are assembling in Ghana or are being represented in terms of their clothing, their songs, and other cultural practices. So this is a first. And that's why the president says it, Honorable Kuyu says it, and those of us also working with them are trying to make this concrete.
And so tell me, what is your job what is your position on the museum? And tell us a little bit about your position. And one of the biggest things that I want to really talk about, because we had a great conversation earlier about the unifying and partnership and truly Pan-African and what Pan-African means. And a lot of our audience are from the United States and from the northern part of America. I want them to hear more about why we should come to the motherland and what is our obligation to the motherland.
Okay, thank you so much. See, you have identified the presence of Africans in North America or in the Americas. And I was saying earlier that there are Africans in Indonesia, there are Africans in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Turkey. I'm not talking about contemporary immigrant Africans. I'm talking about Africans that have been in India over 800 years before the transatlantic slave trade. And these Africans have been shaping their cultures and societies wherever they have been. This is why we are encouraging all of you to begin picturing, imagining, bringing all these Africans or some of them onto the continent and asking them or inspiring them to share their talent, their expertise with the people on the ground. Why is this important? History has not paid attention to the richness the contribution, the value that dispersed Africans or Africans that have been planted in different parts of the world have made to their societies. People have reasons for ignoring, for hiding their contributions. For some, it's a matter of how can an African be considered to be a great contributor to science and technology. How can an African, a person from the continent, be regarded as important in terms of the creation and distribution of knowledge? No. So there have been various reasons in different parts of the world why people that control using money, political, economic power have managed to put a squeeze on all that Africans have been doing. Although we know that Africa has contributed immensely to productivity around the world. Now, I am the director of culture and education of the Pan-African Heritage World Museum, and at the moment, I am the chairperson on the planning committee for the conference to be held on August 5th. Why is it important? As each of you may find yourself working very hard to improve the life ways of people that surround you, it is equally important to ask, what is becoming of my kin, my people on the continent of Africa? There are those that have chosen not to link themselves to the continent of Africa, but then those few among you who consider it their responsibility to at least get to know who else is part of the African identity and culture, to come to Ghana, to experience Ghana on its own terms, and then be open to the stories that will emerge, the invitations that will emerge, the encounters that will be transformative by saying, if I hadn't been to Ghana, I wouldn't have known this story about myself. At least at that level, we're not talking about brick and mortar only, but we're talking about establishing and reestablishing connections with the people that have not known one another because of the slave trade, because of the dispersal, forced as well as voluntary dispersal.
Thank you for that. And when we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about Beyond the Return. And I want you to tell us more about just really us reconnecting as those folks here in the diaspora and the benefits that it will bring for us and for the continent. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Remember, you can call in. There's a call-in number, so you can call in with your questions.
Ghana is a beautiful country. There is so much of it you probably haven't seen, haven't experienced, haven't touched, haven't felt, haven't eaten. Let's discover our land again with new eyes. Let's feel each other again. We are one people, brought together by destiny. Let's make that count. Let's show love for each other and our environment. Let's tell our stories. And let's watch and listen to our stories. There will be so much to tell.
At the center of the world is a country where the sun shines on all 365 days of the year. A country where gold moves beneath the ground, capturing the stories of our kings and queens above. A country with the best chocolate. Come experience castles and forts built on the dreams, aspirations, and sweat of a people full of dignity. Beneath the deep blue skies, follow the stars and let them take you on a journey of our people to the ends of the world through our rich culture, through film. The Black Star is calling. Akwaba. I am Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, and I'm the humble but proud president of the country at the center of the world, Ghana.
God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed that video of Ghana, because let me tell you, every time I see that, the beauty that it shows that our country has, the motherland, which has at least over 80% of the resources that the world utilizes, but yet Africa and the continent it's one of the people of it are the poorest people when it is the richest continent of the world. So can you tell us a little bit, and I said we want to get back to Beyond the Return, and actually really some of the benefits that we can bring to the country if we truly unify and become more Pan-Africanism, not only in mind and our humble beings, but truly putting our mouth to the ground, putting our feet to the pedals, and making a difference in the country. What are some of the benefits that can come from us being Pan-Africanism and truly coming to the motherland and looking to invest? And how can we invest if we come to the motherland?
Okay, not
I know I
if we
give you a lot,
come, but
right?
when when we come. I mean, if you say when we come, not if we come, right? Okay.
Yes, when we come.
When we come, right? We are indeed one people, and because we don't live in the same space and time, it is not easy for us to know the resources that are again dispersed. But if the architects, if the painters, the poets, the bricklayers, they just name them, if all these people from different professions arrive in parts of Africa and enter into collaboration with people on the continent. For instance, I want to build a structure so that children can play in that space. I have my own ideas here, and since I'm in Ghana, my ideas alone may not be adequate in containing other notions of that space. But if I am fortunate enough to team up with someone from the United States or another person from, say, Colombia or from Canada who knows how to build, by the time we allow the different expertise to come together, what structure will come up, will be an emergent structure, which is the composite of talent and skill from Ghana, and talent and skill from Canada, United States, or Brazil. Further, we've been talking about stories, and it is said that nobody's story is adequate until it encounters another person's story, which means the experiences that I have when I meet Dr. Butler Yeboah and we exchange ideas, that's when we'll be able to help one another grow. Then brick and mortar. Can you imagine the know-how in agriculture, know-how in other spheres, in the lab? Somebody comes from the United States or comes from, say, Germany, who is part of the diaspora, and says that where I am swimming in tons of gadgets, but I can assist you on the ground at the University of Ghana, at AUCC, or at Ashasi, because I've come, I know your labs may not have as much of the equipment as we do have in Germany. Such exchange, such assistance will augment what happens in Ghana. Further, it's not just equipment and not just stories, but also just the experience of sharing or ways of doing things. As Dr. Butler shared with me earlier, she comes, she wants a place of convenience, and then she's shown another spot and she goes, this is not what I'm used to. How can I change this environment so that not only I, but when somebody else comes and that person needs a place of convenience, it won't be a shock to that person's system, and that person may want to buy a ticket and come again. So we're talking about basic infrastructure. And if you are driving from, say, Accra Central to Cape Coast, and your vehicle runs into bumpy sessions, and you know that there is somebody that is an expert and can help to make that trip easier than it has been for a while. It is all these gifts that we're talking about, that it is by your presence and your willingness to be humble enough to ask, why is it so? Can we do it differently? And then we will be told that we love it the way it is, or we can do it differently, but we don't have the means. And then you assist us. So it is through this exchange that such things can occur.
I want to
Now,
jump
how
in now.
welcoming are the
Hello?
Ghanaians?
Hello.
Oh, yes,
Okay. Somebody wants to jump in.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been very patient. Let's
Okay,
go
all
back
right.
to the very first question that you were asked about what is a diaspora, and you gave a definition. And a pretty simple definition is that a diaspora is the dispersion of any people from their original homeland. Now, mother tongue is very important. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can you speak another language other than the language that you're using, such as your mother tongue?
Yes.
Okay. What language is that?
Languages.
Okay, how many? You can only have one mother tongue. How many languages did your mother speak?
My mother spoke 2 languages.
Okay, what were they?
Guan, Guan,
Mm-hmm.
and Equiapim Chi, Equiapim Chi.
Okay. Now, words are very important to be able to understand your mother language or languages, which you're very fortunate. Those of us on this side of the planet, you said seeded and so forth, define Afro descendant and people of African descent and tell us the difference. If there is a difference, please, sir.
Okay. Are you talking about the word or the words Afro descendants or Africans and Afro descendants? Which one are you asking about, please?
Okay. As the show began, there was a commercial that was done because the 25th of April was the Black Holocaust Remembrance Day event. So, to my understanding, the term Afro descendant without a hyphen, AFRO descendant, that term came into existence because of a meeting of 19 countries in the diaspora. You're familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. There are several parts to what makes up an Afro descendant. But I'm not the guest. I want you to tell me, you're familiar with it. What is the difference in an Afro descendant and a person of African descent?
Okay. A person of African descent can be on the continent or outside of the continent. Afro descendants has become a convenient word or a word by default because outside of the continent, there are some that may share the history, may share aspects of the culture of Africa, but do not define themselves as African or descendants of Africans. And so that qualifier has become necessary for those that lay claim to their origin being Africa. Those are the Afro descendants. But Africans, for now, refers to those that are on the continent. And descendants of Africans can be on the continent as well as outside of the continent. Afro descendants are those that self-identify, and I underscore that they self-identify because of what I said earlier. Some do not regard themselves as being of African descent.
Okay, one final question. Ghana is in West Africa, right?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the term Akata, AKATA?
No, please tell me.
Joking.
No. Akata, AKATA.
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 You've never heard that word before.
Okay, where is it used? And then I can tell you if I know.
From my research, it originated perhaps in Nigeria, and it's used to describe people in the diaspora, people like me, people who have self-identified as Afro descendants. And the reason I mention that is because as you were talking, I can understand. I have been to a lot of different museums in different parts of the world. So we're talking about a world-class museum that's being erected. And that's the theme of today. But like I said, words have a lot of power. So have you heard the term Akata? And would you tell us what it means?
Okay. In fact, I have heard I have heard that word, but I do not know the meaning besides it being used with reference to people of African descent that live in the United States or North America.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't think the same word is used for Africans in Indonesia.
Of course not. It's
Yes.
germane to people who were taken from Africa, sold into slavery, and brought to North America, primarily this
Correct.
country. So, what does it mean from your research? And I don't want to belabor the point. What have you heard that it means?
It, as I said, it refers to African Americans.
hmm Well, that's a passe term, African American. It actually, some people say cotton picker, but it's a slight, it's a slur, and I don't want to get into anything negative. But
Mhm.
when you have a museum is supposed to cover a range of things. So
Mhm.
I just hope that I can one day visit the museum and that it will be information about not just the people from Ghana or other countries in East, West, North, or South Africa, but we, as you say, we are connected. One people, say Africa for Africans, but having come to America, forced mixed breeding has changed us. And that's why I raised those questions. So I don't know. I'm actually talking too much because I'm invisible.
No, I
Go
appreciate
ahead.
this. I appreciate this.
Go ahead.
Yes, this
I'm
is
through.
important.
It is
Yeah,
important because our history diverges and it is a lot of answers need to be done. When you talked about restitution, I'm still salty at getting sold. You understand?
I do.
All right. Let's move on to another
Well, see, I
subject.
think I think the restitution, that's why in Ghana and Professor Bing, if I'm not too, if I'm correct, please correct me if I'm not correct. They're looking at giving us land. And the chiefs have been meeting to give us land in Ghana. And I know in the Cape Coast, there's been land given to people from from you who were snatched and forcibly removed from the continent, and there's been land now given back to us as part of the restitution of selling us off. So, am I correct in saying that?
Correct. Correct. That lands are being made available. The land on which the museum is going to be built has also been donated. And then there will be other pieces of land as a way of telling the descendants of Africans that when you come, you will have a place, literally and symbolically.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that's happening because I always said, here in the United States, I've always wanted my 40 acres and a mule, which we never got. So I am definitely looking for my at least 1 acre and some tools to farm some land in Ghana. So I'm excited about getting land there and really cultivating it and making something of it. So I want to ask another question, because on that lines, as far as what are some of the things that the chiefs and people are doing to really welcome us back to the motherland? Do you have any information on what some of the people of Ghana are doing, and how well are we received from other Ghanaians? And because I have heard that there's some Ghanaians who aren't very happy that they're welcoming us home as they are and giving us more things that the current people of the country don't have access to. So, can you address those 2 points, and especially that one for those Africans who aren't happy with us coming back and the government treating us differently as diasporans? And what are tell me a little bit about that in your opinion.
Okay, I'm glad you are making it easy for me to express my opinion. Uh, this is it. In every society, when others have gone away, either by their own volition or forced to go away when they return, in every society, it's even biblical. Those that have been at home, always, always, you would find amongst them ones that will welcome those that have been away, and then there will be a segment of those that will resent that. So, if you have heard that, I am not surprised that there are some Ghanaians or Africans that will express those sentiments. But the good news is there are structures, there are policymakers, there are politicians, there are other people that are embracing the communities that will return. To me, that is the overarching experience.
We got 7 minutes, and here's my final comment. Uh, I want you to send me a ticket so I can be at the meeting on the 5th through the
Of
7th in August. I ain't gonna come broke. Maybe I can put up a few dollars, but I want to be there. I think
all
people
right,
from here need to be able to express themselves. So
that's
see if
wonderful.
you can make that happen, and then I get a chance to
I,
walk around and chat with you. Go ahead, Doctor Bud.
Yeah,
I
and
was saying we
dance,
need to do some fundraising on this end so that we can bring people to the opening because that's going to be an exciting event, and not only when to the convention that you're having. Once this museum is open, we need to really work on how we can have people coming annually and
yes,
biannually, if not every day, just coming there from different parts of the world to understand truly what Pan Africanism is all about. Because when we think about it from North America, we're so secular, and I love it when you talked about all the other countries around the world where there are people from Africa and how we've been settled in other parts of the world way before slavery was instituted, and how we've made a difference in other parts of the world and continually make a difference. I mean, that is something
mhm,
that was enlightening for me, and I'm really glad you talked about that because we always think secular, especially when you're from a place. Everyone thinks it's just about their own localities. And
mhm.
for us who were forcibly removed from the continent, we always think about those of us here in North America and the slave trade. The ones from Britain think differently because they weren't forcibly removed and taken to Britain to build Britain, only for the North Americas, which was unfortunate part of era. So I would just briefly, I want you to just tell me a little bit more about, because I'm excited about, do you know of any of the places where land, I know that they're going to have land at the museum. Now, any of that land going to be for us to come back and work on and have, or what are any other parts of the country? And because that was the question, because someone said when I spoke to someone earlier that they're not giving land away. And I know that they are giving land. And we just, I guess, when they give you land, what do you have to do with that land?
Okay. Well, I take this as an assignment that I am going to make the inquiries and then get back to you. Why? Because I don't want to misspeak, because I'm aware that I've heard of lands being offered, but I want to make sure that I have the full information so that I can get back to you on that. Where can someone count on arriving, saying, show me where the pieces of land, could be found? because I want to build a house, or that I want to set up a business, or that I want to build a school. I would do that. I take that as an assignment, and then I will be a good student, and then give a report to you, Dr. Butler Yeboah. How about that? Hello?
No, no, I think she heard you, but
I
I'm
think
looking
she's
forward to hearing the
frozen.
information.
Yeah. It's frozen.
Oh, well, we got 2 minutes. And
Okay.
in the 2 minutes, that's a great assignment. But
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
don't mean to be facetious. How politically stable is the Ghanaian government, and has there ever been a coup?
There had been coups earlier, but now Ghana is one of the places where there has been political stability for some decades
Yes,
now.
sir. Well,
And this is
I
why,
thought as much, but
yes,
I
and
had to
this is
ask the
why,
question. Yes, sir.
yeah, this is why, as you may have heard, Stevie Wonder and other, yes, are coming, and this is why Twitter has chosen Ghana, and I think Google,
Hmm.
Google,
To make
Okay.
investments,
yes,
Dr. Butler's
they make
back. We
investment.
got one
Yeah,
minute.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Internet, and you think the United States has this great internet connectivity. So somewhere on my side, it just dropped off completely. So I am so sorry about that. I could hear you, but then I was frozen. so, but I want to thank you so much, and I believe you're one of those welcoming Ghanaians who want to welcome us back home, and I want to tell my
exactly,
audience, yeah,
exactly.
and I want to tell all my audience out there, and all those who, if you haven't had a chance, an opportunity to visit the motherland, we really need to do so at all costs. And I say, tell people, save up your little pennies and dimes, because they add up, and you'll have such an amazing trip to the motherland. It's just something that you can't replace. So on that note, I want to thank so much. I want to thank my guest, Professor Obing. Thank you so much for being here. We weren't able to get some of the other folks on, like Professor Macy, and also Aquasia Bibio. We weren't able to get them on tonight due to technical difficulties on Ghana's side, unfortunately. Um, but I want to thank Professor Obing for being here this evening. And I know it's late in Ghana, and I guess it's getting late here. But so thank you again. I want to thank Afrique Today. I
That's
also want to
right.
thank I want to thank the Invisible Man, my co-host, for
Oh,
being
my
here,
pleasure.
and Professor Obing. Do you have any last words you want to say as far as promotion, pushing things out there about what's happening on August 5th through the 8th? Um, you want to say a few last
we
words, Professor Obing?
we we want all of you to come in your numbers and swell the numbers here and fully participate, and then share your experience with the world.
Professor Bing, thank you so much. And we look forward to coming, and I look forward to seeing you in person. And I'll wear my mask. I'll still do my COVID regulations, and we'll
And
do
Dr. Butler,
a arm bump.
Doc,
And I want to thank
Dr.
you
Butler,
again. And I know it's late there. Thank
let
you
me say
so
this
very
before
much
you
for your
go.
time tonight.